So a very big topic of discussion recently is an article from The Atlantic entitled, "Let's Declare a Pandemic Amnesty." This article was written by Emily Oster, and the gist of the article is, according to Emily, we need to forgive one another for what we did and said when we were in the dark about COVID. And this, of course, brought up a lot of outrage across the intertrons. A lot of people were saying, hell no, we're not going to forgive, and we sure as hell aren't going to forget either. And, I thought about this for a few days before truly responding. And I'm actually going to take a contrarian point of view on this. Yes, I am in favor of forgiveness, but that forgiveness comes with a few conditions. Number one, we need to restore all transplant patients back on the transplant lists. Several stories came out during the experiment and during the pandemic response that transplant recipients were being booted off lists because they refused to take part of the experiment. This is evil and this is wrong. So the first thing we can do is restore all those recipients back to the transplant list in exactly the place they were before they were removed. And if they are the next up at bat, if they are now next, then they should be at the top of the list. Number two, we need to rehire all the people that lost jobs, that were fired or forced to resign because they refused to participate in the experiment. When we rehire these people, they also get the back wages during the time that they missed, during the time that they were off. So in other words, from the time they were fired or resigned until the day they get back on the job, they get those back wages as well. Also, for the folks who owned small businesses that went out of business during the lockdown, you will get compensated for losing that business. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, how do we pay for that? Well, currently we're sending over $50 billion to the Ukrainian war zone, and allegedly Congress is trying to send another $65 billion in the next month or two. I say we divert that $65 billion and put it back into the American economy. Get the people back to work, get them their jobs back, compensate them for their time lost, their jobs lost, and their businesses lost. Number three, free medical treatment for all of those injured by the experiment. We're seeing a lot of stories, hearing a lot of stories about various injuries and various suffering from people who participated in this experiment, people who thought they were doing the right thing and are now suffering. So these people need to be getting free medical care, and the entity that will pay for that medical care are the pharmaceutical corporations who pushed the experiment in the first place. Number four, we need written apologies from every major media figure, every person on TV, every person on the internet, every person in the newspapers, if you still read those, who push these experiments on people. All of them need to write written apologies and post them online for at least 1 year. Finally, number five, we need Nuremberg II trials. For the folks in government who, quote unquote, mandated this experimental treatment, they need to be tried for crimes against humanity. I would also throw the executives of the pharmaceutical companies in question in the mix on this as well. What do they know? When do they know it? We need to find out. This is a serious issue. These people need to be held accountable. So if we're talking about forgiveness, if we're talking about a fresh start, we need to find out the totality of all the corruption that went on. We need to get to the bottom of it. We need to shine a light on it and hold the relevant people accountable for it as well. Once we do these things, then we can take our first steps towards forgiveness and healing from this very dark and horrid period in our country's history. This is Kevin in Texas saying God bless each and every one of you. I hope you're doing well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.